Hi, this is Henk, and welcome to the Skull Session. And today my guest is Steven Barone.
Yep. Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man? So, all right, let's talk about your project.
Yeah, right now I got a Kickstarter going right now for my first comic book, The Dirty, the Filthy, and the Dead. It's issue number one of a four-part mini series, and it's a horror comic, but it's a sort of horror comedy. And I've kind of promoting it as a sort of a
Kind of along the
episode of.
line
Oh
more
yeah,
like The
sorry.
Evil Dead or Return of the Living Dead.
Well, the premise is that it's like a high school reunion that takes place,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that attend the high school reunion kind of get their comeuppance. They're a bunch of kind of scumbags and kind of people that,
So it's kind
kind
of
of
a revenge comedy.
a little bit, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so they kind of did some, some bad things in their past while they're in high school, and even currently in their, sort of present time. And so there's a guy who's sort of hosting, emceeing the reunion, and he's the guy who kind of, he's I kind of promote him as, or characterize him as one part George Carlin, one part sort of John Wayne Gacy, and so he kind of scolds them at the same time as showing their past sins and these sort of vignettes on stage and these sort of little like stage plays, and so that's sort of like the premise of what happens. And then as the late issues come later issues come out, you'll kind of see the machinations behind the scenes of as to like who brings him to like the reunion, and as to why they want him to show up and kind of give these people their their dues in a sense. So
Okay, did you write it?
yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah. It's based on originally there's this flash fiction piece I wrote like several years ago that got published in a journal. There was like an aspect of it that I enjoyed, and so I took that aspect and expanded it into a longer horror story. Or a longer short story. And I was trying to get that published. I was kind of tossing it around to different horror journals. But I was getting some feedback saying like, "Oh, we do like this story, but it's a little too violent for our journal, or there's like some swear words, and could you change this and that?" And there's a little bit too much of a pain in the butt going that route. But like I'd always been into comic books, and after COVID, I started getting back into the hobby of collecting and reading comics. And so I decided to just like, hey, I think this would be make a good comic book. Let me just, kind of switch mediums and turn this into a comic.
Okay. Who did you recruit to draw it?
So that took a little while since I can't, illustrate myself. So kind of went through some growing pains in that regard, trying to nail down an illustrator. But right now I'm working with his name is Miguel Galanto. He's out of Mexico, but he's been really great to work with, and he's done a bunch of other projects as well. And so yeah, his name is Miguel. He's great, and
Okay.
it's a black and white comic.
What he's done other comic books in the past?
Yeah, I think he has. He's been in. He just had recently had a campaign that was successful before this. I don't know if it was. I think it was for like a kind of graphic novel. It was like political. I don't know like the actual title because it was in Spanish. But he is an illustrator for a newspaper down in Mexico, and so that's like his regular daytime gig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Originally, when I moved to New York City, that's where I live now. I
Oh,
moved
okay.
in '98, and I wanted to be a comic book artist. I remember interviewing with DC and Marvel and Image, and I remember their pay rate was 150 a page back then. This is in '98.
Oh,
Now
okay.
I've heard is like less than half that because they get a lot of talent from like South America, and like the
Uh,
cost of living in South America is way cheaper, so they can pay
gotcha.
$60 a page. And for some people, that's a good rate, but not if you live in New York.
Right, right. And I mean, like I said, I was trying to work with someone who's actually out of what is it? Not Asheville, or someone out of North Carolina. And that was the first person I connected with, but they did a couple of pages for me, but then at the last second, they're like, "Oh, I got too much of my own stuff going on," and so it's just like, "Well, great, now I got two pages I can't really do anything with," and then
Did they charge you for the 2 pages they did?
They did they cut me a deal, but I did have to pay for those pages. Yeah, I did. So you know, it was
You
like,
would did they break the contract by stepping out after 2 pages?
I mean, you know, we
Like,
didn't really
why
have
would
like a
you?
yeah.
I just, that's kind of shady of the artist to demand payment for a project he didn't complete that you can't use.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't happy about it to say the least. Yeah, you know, and I didn't want to start anything because that person has a little bit of a, you know, reputation. So it's just, it was just sort of like you know, what I mean, I just had to eat it basically. You know, luckily, like it wasn't too much money, but it still sucked without a doubt.
Did you have a contract with them? Like you're supposed
N-
to produce 30 pages or whatever?
No, there was definitely no written contract, so it was just kind of verbal, and so that yeah. You know, and even maybe the guy I'm with now, maybe we should have a contract, right? But
Yeah, I do written illustrated books. So they're books, but they'll have like drawings in them. And
uh-huh.
that's kind of the sweet spot I found because I like to do very detailed, large scale drawings. I'm not real big on storyboard pages. I've done it before and I get bored.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but I've noticed with that every when I do an anthology and I do like a little illustration for every story, I get every author in the anthology to sign the contract, and they're very cool about it. I'm like, it's a right to publish contract. It's like you keep all the rights. Just do me a favor, don't sell on your own. For 6 months while I put it out the anthology and I first blow it up and then promote it, and after that all the rights revert to you. You
Mm.
know, but that contract, like everyone will tell you, probably that contract is what's going to save you because I'm not saying they're going to be a dick, but who knows? It's a crazy world we live in. So some people are like, "Hey, man, I didn't give you the right to publish that, and you owe me back fees for my projected image or my projected value of what it made over the time." And yeah, people are crazy. Contracts are just kind of saving. I mean, it sounds like I know all these people because they go to horror conventions, and so I kind of felt bad. Like, hey man, you gotta sign a contract. Like, I'm just used to like we talk, we do a handshake, but it'll save your ass.
Yeah, no, and now that you mention it, yeah, I mean, I think maybe after we put out this first book, yeah, I might have to do something at least. And yeah, it's a good point. Do you have a lawyer with that writes them up for you, or is it more?
No, I mean I've had lawyers on and off for like I also in a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
So, I've had like accountants, I've had lawyers, and I know a lot of lawyers. And I will talk to them. So it's like I can send you a copy of what I have. It's like it's a pretty basic right to publish contract, you know.
Mm.
And it's like, if they write like I make them a deal, and I make
Yeah.
them a deal that I'll give them a copy of the book, and I'll give them the original illustration I did for their story. And in return, they give me a story, and I publish it, and I have exclusive rights for 6 months, and after that, everything reverts to them. So,
Okay.
if they want to like sell it to Netflix, for like a episode of Cabinet of Curiosity or something, they can do that. It's all theirs. But that basic, like if you have the basics in there, and I run the basics by a lawyer, that's all you need.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's definitely if this does take off in terms of getting like the further issues out, which I mean, hopefully, you know, I'm already funded, so we got the we hit our goal. But hopefully, we get some more funding just to so I can print out more copies. It's going to be a floppy this first issue, and so
You did
yeah,
crowdfunding via Kickstarter.
yes, it is Kickstarter. Yeah, yep. And so we hit our goal of 900. So I think right now we're at 950. And you know, so I went pretty simple since it's my first comic. And that's why it's in black and white. And I got one illustrator. And just because it was so hard nailing down that one illustrator, I didn't want to have to nail down a colorist and a letter, you know. So, you know, I just try to make it as simple as I can, but it does look great. You know, it's a great story. So you know, I think that's good. So, but I just yeah, since it was my first, I wanted to go kind of simple and not get too crazy and overwhelmed or go, you know, over my head with stuff.
Okay, send me the link and I'll post up there so people can. Is your Kickstarter campaign still active?
Yeah, there's different tiers you can, yeah, fund. And so yeah, and it ends at the end of this month. But there are late pledges until the mid March for the PDF of a digital copy of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are the tiers that they can purchase? Is like a copy, a digital copy, and what else?
Oh, so yeah, there's a digital copy and there's two covers. There's an A cover and a B cover. And then, with that, there's also some bookmarks. And there's also, like a bigger bundle where you can get both covers, some bookmarks. And there's even like um, a bundle where you can even get the short story that the comic's based on in a PDF as well. And then that's pretty much it. Like I didn't want to go, like I said, too crazy with getting overwhelmed with shipping a bunch of different merch and stuff. But as the I go with issue 2 and 3 and 4, I'll probably offer some more goodies. But I just wanted to, since it's my first campaign and everything, I kept it kind of simple and just kind of straightforward.
So he also scanning them in and sending copies to you?
Yeah, yeah. So yep, he's so we're doing a page at a time, and it's almost about halfway done. And so the funding was to pay for the rest of the production and for shipping and printing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you have to print? Because it's all digital, right?
Oh no, there'll be floppies that I'll be printing up floppies and so shipping
Oh,
those.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So just a regular comic book size of about 22 pages.
Okay, and does the artist draw it digitally and then he sends you the digital copy, or does he draw it traditionally and then scan it in?
No, he draws digitally. Yeah, then sends it to me. Yeah, through email and stuff.
Okay, and it's black and white. Is it like kind of broken down like a normal comic book, like with storyboard panels and all that?
Uh, yeah, there's storyboard panels, but yeah, it is black and white. Like I said, I didn't want to get too big of a team going, just because, like I said, it's hard nailing down an illustrator. And plus, I kind of always see at least horror comics as being black and white mostly too.
Right.
And at the time too, when I was
There are some. I appreciate black and white, but there are some really good color horror series, and like
yeah.
I've done pay like the Living Corpse comic. Dynamite puts them out, so I've done pages for that, like splash pages, as well as you do like big stuff. But I've done splash pages for that, and they always have computer colors now. Like nobody even does the traditional, 4 dot way or whatever. And
Mm.
so I remember he did like this amazing job, and they can produce like that.
Mm. Yeah, and part of it too, though, like I said, I kind of got back into collecting and reading comics after COVID, and what I got into really was like just reading a lot of Daniel Close, and so I was kind of reading a lot of his stuff and some Charles Burns, so a lot of that's in black and white, and so that kind of like inspired me as well. And plus in my head, I just kind of saw the story in black and white. That just kind of yeah, kind of rang a bell with me.
Right. Well, there's obviously nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like a lot of I'm old, so I remember a lot of indie comics that like they came out in black and white.
Uh-huh.
Like The Crow or like Cerebus and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
They were awesome. And like even now, stuff like Sin City comes out that's
Oh,
black and
right.
white.
Yeah, 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 and so that was just and it also just it would help with cost too. So, if I were working with a colorist, that my campaign goal probably would have had to have been higher than it currently is, and so, I was just trying to keep expenses down as well.
Okay, are the covers gonna be color?
One of them is black and white, and one does have a little bit of a color to it. And so the main cover A has a bit of like yellow to it. Miguel did it, and so it looks pretty cool. It's like kind of black and yellow and white
Kind of
cover.
sticking with like a 1 or 2 color palette.
Mm,
Give it kind of like a unique look. Yeah, no, that's cool.
yeah, it's a great cover. Yeah, he did a really good job with it.
Like that's what they do with Sin City. Like the cover will be in black and white, and then they'll have just like Sin City in red.
Yeah, yeah, and we kind of did a little bit like that. Like so I think like actually this like T-shirt I have. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but this is like the lettering for the
Oh, I
cover.
see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of
the
like that.
dirty, the filthy, and the dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna think of doing t-shirts, but then I was like, that might be crazy with the shipping and everything. So it's like, all right, maybe I'll save that for later on.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with shipping. You get fucking screwed.
Yeah,
You
that's how I
know,
was like, yeah.
I sold stuff and then I ended up shipping it. And I'm like, dude, I made like $3. Yeah.
No, that honestly just happened to me recently. I sold like some comic books, cased ones at like four, and then I got screwed on the ship, and I calculated wrong, and it came back to bite me in the butt.
Yeah, there's like no winning there. Uh,
Yeah,
well, I guess there is, but then you gotta hire a company. It's like, dude, I'm trying to save money. I'm not trying to spend money. And
yeah,
everybody
right.
wants to sell you stuff now.
Yeah, it's very true.
They're
Yeah.
like, oh, you took 3 steps? Okay, let me charge you for that. Yeah. So, how many pages are you doing per comic?
So it's about 22 pages, so with about four issues. And once all four issues are done, it will be a complete finished story. And
So
then
it's 22 pages per issue, and there are 4 itinerations of the 22 pages.
yeah, ideally, yeah. I mean, I got the script for issue two, and that'll be 22. I haven't quite finished the scripts for three and four, so we'll have to see. And maybe I think I might, if I get two funded and out the door, maybe three and four, maybe I'll combine into like a double issue
Okay.
instead of making people wait for an extended time for four to come out, just because kind of the I know people complain a lot about the time frame between like
Well,
issues,
remember
and then
DC and Marvel is 24 pages every month.
yeah, right.
And I've talked to a lot of people like Brian Keane and stuff. They own indie comic shops, and they're like Marvel and DC is like 3% of our sales these days. Like it's all indie comics. And
Yeah.
every time I talk to somebody who does indie comics, like Teresa Grant, and they put out an issue like every 3 months or 4 months, which is that was unusual in the old school days.
Hmm.
But I think they're more passion projects now. Like back in those two days, it was like I got to pay the rent. You know,
Yeah,
some people would do like amazing work. Like I love Watchmen. I love
right,
The
right.
Dark Knight and stuff. But
Huh.
some people you can tell they're just like trying to collect a paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to put out all four issues right now if I could, but it just financially just can't do it. So it would be great. But I mean, luckily this first issue definitely will be coming out since it is funded. And so hopefully, we can get it out in time. We should be able to. And then, hopefully the campaign for issue two won't be too expensive, and so get that out and just as quickly as we can, because I'd like to move on to other comics as well and other stories, so that, that'd be fun because
Okay, you said this is like a 4 issue arc, and then you're done with this story, and then you're looking, if this one succeeds, obviously, to put out more.
yeah, I like to do other stories 'cause, I've written lots of like short stories, screenplays and stuff that I think could translate into comic books pretty easily. And so yeah, I'd like to, just, especially stories that that I've written that kind of just been sitting in my drawers because, I can't publish them anywhere or do anything with them. I think would just be great as comic books, just like this
Well, there are a
story.
lot of comic books now that are being made into like Netflix series, like Lock and Key, like Joe Hill, Stephen King's son.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've seen Lock and Key, but it's awesome. The comic book is even better, but I mean, it's kind of hard to beat the art and everything. And they
Yeah,
can go a little bit more over the top.
yeah.
But then they put out Preacher, like Garth
Oh,
Ennis Preacher, which unfortunately the series was like nothing like Preacher, and it was horrible. I love the
that's
comic,
what I
the
heard.
the
Yeah.
series wasn't that good, but Lock and Key is really good. The Umbrella Academy, I mean, they're just putting out tons of movies now, tons of not even movies, streaming shows.
Yeah.
So hopefully Netflix will come calling and
Yeah.
make some serious cash.
I mean that'd be nice. I mean, if hey, at this point, if I can just get the issues done, and I'll be happy with that. But yeah,
Set the goals low, maybe they'll go high.
yeah, trying to put one foot in front of the other at this point. But
Right. Well, it doesn't hurt to dream big.
no, no, I
Can't
hear
count
you.
on it,
Yeah,
but it didn't hurt to dream big. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, that would be definitely nice. Um,
Yeah, definitely. Oh, another one that I thought was really good was The Strain. It's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
did you see
Yeah.
that?
No, it's funny. Yeah, I think that show doesn't get enough credit. Like I feel like that kind of came and went and
Yeah.
but I think it
Wasn't real happy with the ending, but the first couple seasons were amazing.
yeah, no, the production value on that show is like top notch for especially for like what was on FX too. So it's like it kind of had like
I
a
don't know what it was on. I mean, it's been a while now, but I remember seeing it. I was like, it was so good. And then
yeah.
I felt like it kind of did that like Boardwalk Empire thing. Like Boardwalk Empire was supposed to be, I think, 5 seasons, and they cut
Uh-huh.
it down to 4. So they had to do the like last season was like, all right, 6 years later. And it felt like they kind of. I heard that with the strength of that's kind of more loyal to the way the comic book is written, but it still felt like a weird jump for me, and it just it wasn't as horrifying after a while. I wanted more horror.
Yeah, yeah. No, but like that show like had like great production value, like almost like HBO level production. And so, I mean, maybe it just, could have been, I think it was, it's funny. I just saw like a clip about that show. One of the guys that was on it was just talking about, I guess, they joked how it was like a strain, the strain was a strain on the production crew because they just did so many long hours day after day. And so I think it was like a hard show to, get made, but.
I don't know, but that's what it takes to be a cult classic.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
lots of stuff that was like, wasn't hugely, well received, but like after a while, people were like, you guys check this out.
yeah. No, no, that's a good show. Yeah, like I said, I don't think that show actually gets the credit it deserves. Um,
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. All right, do you have anything else? Actually, before we go to that, let me ask you, what would you compare it to? I know people hate to compare this stuff because I'm not saying you ripped anything off. I'm just saying if you like this,
it
what
kind
would
of
you?
froze. Oop.
I'm just saying, yeah, if you like something, you know, that's kind of the feel of my stuff.
Oh, okay, there you are. You froze for a second.
No, all right. Yeah, no, I'll cut that out. No, I was asking like, if there's, a series or there's like something that people really enjoy that's kind of similar to yours. Like if you like this, you'll like my stuff.
Yeah, I mean the kind of like tagline I've been using is if you like enjoy like if the idea of like an episode of Seinfeld being directed by David Lynch would be your cup of tea, then this was the
That
comic book
would
for
be
you.
pretty interesting. I'm a big fan of David Lynch. Unfortunately, he just died, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it does have like a sort of Lynchian sort of surrealism to it. But
but
with
maybe with a little horror thrown in.
yeah, so kind of like, maybe like Lost Highway, but more humor. So it's like Daniel Close. That's why I kind of, like his sort of comic books.
Okay.
Yeah. So something along those lines.
And you have a website where everyone can see it.
Just yeah, the Kickstarter campaign. I have a video up on there and the pages as well. And people can follow me on X. I'm pretty active on X.
Okay. And what's the campaign called?
The Dirty, the Filthy, and the Dead.
Okay, awesome. All right, man. So thank you very much for doing this. Do you
Yeah,
have
thank
anything
you.
else you want to throw out there?
Um, if there's one thing, I guess if you are curious about humor wise, you can kind of look me up. Google my name. You could put in Steven Barone and like Humor Times. I've got like a few stories out there for free on the Humor Times. It's a humor journal newspaper. And so if you kind of wondering about my sense of humor, you could Google that and read some of those pieces for free. And so if you like those, that you might realize, oh, okay, maybe this comic book is for me. I like this guy's sense of humor. So that could be something.
Okay, awesome, man. All right, well, like I said, thank you very much.
Yeah,
And
no, thank you, Dan.